And I always like to keep things really straightforward and crisp and simple and brief. Now, when you say the qualifying income, okay, we have a list of qualifying incomes, right?
Yes, we have.
Can we just let's discuss those a bit so that people can understand that what could be the examples of qualifying incomes, right?
Exactly.
Okay. Now I can see a whole lot of list here.
Yes,
let's instead of just reading
going through
or can you give couple of examples? For example,
like manufacturing.
Manufacturing. Okay. So manufacturing could be anything or just manufacturing.
So it's they put it in a very broader term, manufacturing of goods and material.
So that means they are covering a large pool.
Exactly.
Right? Any company, if you go and see that Sevzone, Hamriya, Jafza, there are a lot of Alquz and a lot of manufacturing concerns, right?
Yeah.
But Alquz is, I'm sorry, that is mainland.
That's the mainland.
But specifically in qualifying free zone. Now, that means any company manufacturing anything?
Goods and materials.
Goods and materials. Okay.
If there is some exclusion, they will specifically mention in there in excluding activities.
Correct.
If there is some specific out of that. Other than that, in generically, this is the definition. If some specific they exclude from that one, they will mention in the exclusion.
Okay, I'll put it in a perspective actually here, so that people can again understand. There are always 5. You remember that when we used to discuss Porter value chain, you remember, right?
Yeah.
You still remember? That's good. So that time there were 5 primary activities in any business. In any business.
Yes.
Let's talk from that perspective.
Yes.
One is the input, which is the raw material, right? Second is the process, right? Where you actually process and you convert those products into finished products, which is output. And then there is the 4th activity, which is marketing and sales. Then there is 5th one, which is after sales service. Now, generally, if this criteria, if we apply to any company, let's say auto spare parts, right? A company registered in qualifying free zone, right? Making or manufacturing auto spare parts, right? And then supplying those auto spare parts maybe to any other company within the same free zone, or maybe to any other company in any other qualifying free zone, scenario number 2, or maybe supplying those that material of auto spare parts to any other company in mainland, right? Or the 4th one, that they might be exporting that.
Exactly.
Now, whether it is one of these, right? That has nothing to do with these scenarios, correct? If they are into manufacturing of those units, auto spare parts, so that becomes a qualifying free zone income, right?
Exactly.
That is
activity.
Right? Not income, of course. Income will be derived from this activity.
Perfect. This activity.
If they are processing that, now why I'm actually trying to distinguish between, because there are a lot of companies here, their sole existence is not to manufacture, their sole existence is to process. Now, I'll give you an example actually. So for example, if you bring raw diamonds, right? There are companies which exist in the market and they are there only to process those, right? You take those diamonds to them and they process those diamonds. They will cut it, finish it, and then they will just hand it back to you, right?
And
they will charge their fee on that of processing, right? So does that qualify as qualifying free zone activity or not?
The activity is manufacturing and processing.
Correct. Right. That means processing also applies.
Exactly.
Perfect.
So manufacturing of goods and materials and processing of those as well.
Now, from the same part, if I move to the next question, I don't know if we have a lot of information around that or not, but you are into our auto spare parts industry, right? You are also into assembly of cars. Then what?
You are auto spare part assembling of cars.
You are assembling the cars. Then also does it apply to that, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, after that, your sole existence of such a company actually existing in qualifying free zone, right? They are there to distribute the products for some other company, might be sitting outside the UAE or maybe within the UAE, right? They just take the products and then actually they use their own distribution channels and they just distribute the products.
Exactly.
Does this exception applies to them?
Yes, it's a distribution channel.
So that means
A distribution channel is including into that one.
correct. So that means any business processing the raw material, manufacturing the raw material, processing the raw material, converting some products into finished products, right? Supplying those products, of course. I'm not talking about the trading concerns, right?
No.
We will not.
Yeah,
We will
the
not talk about
processing
only the processing units,
Processing
right?
units.
And then supplying, and then any concern which actually has a distribution center,
Exactly.
right? Now, another question actually arises in my mind because we have to start linking a lot of connections here. It's not only about the corporate tax. It's not only about the VAT. There is also another thing called ESR, economic substance reporting, right?
Yes.
So people need to consider those things as well, right?
Compliance.
Because the compliances
level.
are there, right?
Exactly.
Now, there is a specific ESR activity, which is distribution of goods and distribution of services.
Exactly.
Right? Where both of them are actually linked to the related party services. Right?
Yes.
Now, my question here is that when you say distribution of products, I'm talking about goods, right?
Yes.
There is no distribution of services exception or qualifying income activities there, right? Distribution of services.
No.
Only distribution of goods.
It's distribution
only
of
distribution
goods,
of material.
goods and material.
Correct.
Yes.
Now, let's just say that you are into selling those products, because that can be a different one, right?
Exactly.
Or only distributing those products. Both are the same things or different.
No, it's a reselling of those goods and materials.
Reselling, right?
It's a
And
reselling.
if you have the distribution channel, so for example, you are into cosmetic supplies, right? You are selling cosmetic products. In those beauty products, you have multiple brands, some from China, some from America, Germany, and all that. Those products you bring here, and actually they use your distribution channel to distribute products within the UAE. Then what? You're only distributor.
Yes.
You're not a trader. You're not a manufacturer. You're not a processor, actually. Then what?
So the law used the term the distribution of goods and materials.
Distribution of goods and materials,
And
right?
resell.
And resell also.
Resell also.
That means anyone who actually resell or
Resell-
only distribute
distribute,
still actually applies,
exactly.
right? Perfect. I wanted to actually make sure that
Exactly,
everything is actually
exactly.
separated, right? Now, it's a big pool, by the way, that means.
Yes, still. Look, if you're a distributor, you're bringing something and you're altering it and you're reselling it, still it's inside that.
Wonderful. Now, anything other than that? From the manufacturing and from that perspective?
Like there are some services as well, which you can include into that one, like funds management services.
Exactly. I can see the fund management
Yes.
services, right?
Yes, wealth and investment management services. And this is something
It's a big, again, the same thing.
Exactly.
So when we say fund management services or fund management companies, because the line actually states, or the exact rule actually states that they have to be regulated by the competent authorities within the state, right?
Exactly.